At the direction of the President of the United States, fighter aircraft assigned to U.S. Northern Command successfully took down a high-altitude airborne object off the northern coast of Alaska at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today.
Wow, how about that? Presidential decisiveness. President Biden ordered the shoot-down of something the moment it got close to Alaska. So decisive, so impressive. But what about last week when we were told it was decisive and impressive to let that satellite go from Alaska to Montana all the way across to South Carolina? Don't get around to shooting it until it gets over the Atlantic Ocean. I do remember a lot of people saying that this was effective national security.
The important thing is here that the president acted decisively and responsibly.
The White House is adamant that the president was listening to the advice of his military commanders who told him to wait.
I think what the Biden administration did was the right thing, to shoot it down when it was over shallow waters.
The president gave instructions to have it handled, to have it shot down in a way that was safe.
The two priorities by the military and the Biden administration were to keep people safe and to only shoot it down when it was safest. And they did that as soon as it hit the coastline.
All right, I am confused, all right? I just, Alaska, it touches Alaska. Boom! Out of the sky. Alaska to Montana to, what's after Montana? North Dakota, South Dakota, Missouri, Oklahoma, all the way through the whole country to the ocean. And so which is the good thing to do? And by the way, if you were critical of this, and we were, because obviously it was too long to wait, what were we characterized as? Or more importantly, the public officials who stood up and said, what's going on here? Those treacherous insurrectionist Republicans.
After the balloon was shot down, Republicans praised the military for taking it down, but criticized President Biden.
Republicans are criticizing the Biden administration for not acting sooner.
We watched in real time as Republicans were critical of the president's decision to wait for it to be over open water and letting it travel across the United States before shooting it down, although everyone ultimately agrees that that was the right decision.
Okay. Republicans and their annoying criticisms of the president for weirdly allowing a balloon from China to go from Alaska to Montana to all those states, okay, all the way over. And the other thing, it wasn't just the delay, it was Joe Biden's lack of leadership and weirdly zero criticism, zero, none, directed at China.
I ordered the Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible. They decided, without doing damage to anyone on the ground, they decided that the best time to do that was as it got over water. We're committed to work with China where we can advance American interests and benefit the world, but make no mistake about it. As we made clear last week, if China threatens our sovereignty, we will act to protect our country, and we did.
Well, there were several of these balloons that during the last administration didn't even know they were there. They didn't even do anything about them. So, look, I just think that the idea that there was a dereliction of duty, I think, is a bizarre notion. It's not a major breach. I mean, look. It's a violation of international law. It's our airspace. And once it comes in our airspace, we can do what we want with it.
All right. He had more criticism for the Trump administration than for China. Who sent the damn thing, huh? Every appearance, nothing about China. Only respect, only respect. Who remembers when Donald Trump appeared with Vladimir Putin in Helsinki? You remember this? You know what Donald Trump chose to be? Diplomatic. Isn't that what you're supposed to be in these scenarios when the guy is right next to you? Diplomatic. Do you remember what happened when he didn't call out President Putin for sending $100,000 to some internet company in 2015? Do you remember that? Take a look.
This is a night, I mean, usually people talking about unpatriotic and treasonous and traitorous.
Donald Trump being condemned as treasonous in some quarters.
But the spirit of what Trump did is clearly treasonous. It's a betrayal of the United States.
All right. So Trump with Putin. Trump did not talk about 2016 election. He was somehow supposed to, right? And that's treasonous. But a balloon from China comes all the way across the country. He doesn't criticize China once. I really suspect that Joe was compromised. Don't you? At this point, it's obvious. And actually, this new object that was shot out of the sky, we don't know where it came from. I suspect it was China. And I suspect that they're trying to help Joe. Yeah, because he was so decisive. Much in the way, decisive that is, much in the way a father might help a kid go fishing, right? Take a look at this. That's China, yep, Joe Biden, and that's the latest balloon. Okay, you get it? How about shooting a gun? All right, let's look at that scenario, okay? That's China, little Joe with the gun, all right? They're letting him, they set it up. They set it up so he could shoot something or riding a bike, all right? They are being very, very patient with Joe. I think he's in charge. Now, taking out this object was the right thing to do, but I don't think Joe Biden actually needed to have anything to do with it. Look, Alaska is obviously a sensitive place. Remember how much criticism came from the Alaska delegation? You probably didn't because it was buried this week. But listen to Lisa Murkowski, senior senator from Alaska.
I think that the American public deserve more than they have seen in terms of transparency about why this spy balloon was allowed to spend 2 days over our waters and over the state of Alaska, the state that is the guardian for everybody else.
It's a good question, actually. Alaska, Montana, South Dakota, Oklahoma, Missouri. Why? Why did that happen? And NORAD, you know, we have the what the hell is it called again? North America Aerospace, something or other. And this guy is in charge of NORAD, the command that is supposed to make sure that nothing comes into America that's not supposed to come into America. I am a little bit curious. I mean, we have a lot of planes, a lot of things at our disposal. Anytime who knows what this thing is? I'm told it was pretty small, like the size of a small Volkswagen or something like that. Do they have to call the president to take something like that out? Do they? I don't think so. Well, listen to how the Pentagon, they were asked about this. I think this might have been just teed up so Joe could look like a big shot and not a slave to China, which I believe he is. Take a look at this exchange. The question, the answer, the question, go ahead.
Doesn't Northcom have the authority on its own to shoot down unidentified objects entering U.S. airspace if they pose a threat to civilian air traffic? And if so, then why was the president's authorization required in this case?
Yeah, thanks. So my understanding is it was at 40,000 feet when it was detected and ultimately taken down. The NORAD Northcom commander does not have the authority necessarily to take down an object if it's not posing a potential hostile intent or actions. However, given the fact that this aircraft was, this object was operating at an altitude that posed a reasonable threat to civilian air traffic, after consultation with the secretary and the president, of course, the president, on our advice, gave the order to take it down, and we took it down.
I guess I'm trying to clarify, is his authorization required in a situation like this?
Again, it's kind of a moot point at this point because the president gave the order, but he has the authorization to take action against anything that presents a potential threat to the American public or people on the ground. In this particular case, it was determined that this posed a reasonable threat to air traffic. Again, I'll just leave it at that.
You smell the politics? This bureaucrat, oh boy, politics. It was politics. It was politics. Could you follow that? I wanted to be confusing on purpose. All right, so the NORAD commander, which, by the way, let's get this straight, North American Aerospace Defense. That guy has authority if it's not a threat, but if it is a threat, he doesn't have authority. Okay. Look, this is all a fix-it job to make Joe Biden look like he's not incompetent, not working. It's not going to work. And oh, by the way, Joe actually kind of implied that it's not up to him either, that it's actually someone else's decision. He's always hiding. Take a look at this.
Do you regret not having insisted on bringing it down sooner?
No, I look at the expert, the intelligence community, defense community. They forgot more about it than you or I know.
Yeah, the intelligence community, the defense, they told me to do it, right? They told me when. He's always blaming or hiding behind them and maybe just letting them take the lead. Look, he owes them a lot. Remember that silly letter? Remember the cover they gave him during the campaign about the laptop, Russia disinformation? Remember that nonsense? The whole intelligence, and I'm sorry, federal law enforcement community is severely, severely compromised. It's all compromised. And something else did not get enough attention this week, that weaponization hearing and concerns about the FBI. Senator Grassley, Republican of Iowa. This is important stuff.
Other whistleblower disclosures to my office make clear that the FBI has within its possession very significant, impactful, and voluminous evidence with respect to potential criminal conduct by Hunter and James Biden. These disclosures also allege that Joe Biden was aware of Hunter Biden's business arrangements and may have been involved in some of them. We still aren't sure what's been done with this information. The FBI's track record doesn't create much faith that the information is going to be followed up on. It's clear to me that the Justice Department and the FBI are suffering from a political infection that, if it's not defeated, will cause the American people no longer to trust these storied institutions.
If it's not defeated, we may lose America. I don't trust them already. Sorry. They're protecting Joe Biden. They're doing political errands for Joe Biden. And Joe Biden, with all this going on, still thinks somehow he can run for re-election. He actually thinks he's a man of vitality. Just listen to him.
Every indication you're running for re-election. You haven't announced yet. Democrats, though, as I'm sure you know, are saying, we wonder about his age. You'd be 82, date of the next election, 86 if you're successful and elected and finish that term. Does it give you any concern?
Watch me. That's all I can say. I mean, it goes from one extreme to the other. Last night I heard that people were saying, well, just watch Biden. My God, age is not an issue anymore. Look, I'm a great respecter of fate. I would be completely, thoroughly honest with the American people if I thought there was any health problem, anything that would keep me from being able to do the job. And so we'll see. I think people have to just watch me.
All right. Beware of anybody who goes around always reminding everybody how thoroughly honest they are. This is a man who actually blurted out loud that he had cancer. He did. Then the White House had to walk it back. So, Joe, we've been watching you. All right. You know what we don't see? Consistency. Yeah, you're droopy. You nod off all the time. You seem, quite frankly, you're still touching people inappropriately. And you can only grasp very, very simple thoughts. And sometimes, there you go. Totally lost.